Welcoming traveler. Get ready to level up in fantasy football.
RPG Nation, start your engines. We're back.
Oh, I thought we were doing a thing.
I like the Foley. Thanks, Mike.
I just misfired. Sorry, Corey.
No, we didn't coordinate that. We should have coordinated that better. We should have all revved our engines, but we didn't because we're all a little sleepy tonight. But that doesn't stop us from bringing you guys a brand new episode of the Fantasy Football RPG Podcast. We got our main crew with you all tonight. Me. I'm Corey. Hi, I'm back.
Oh, snap. Hi, Corey.
Glad to be back with y'all. Had some personal stuff come up that's been resolved, so happy to jump back in with y'all and talk some football. And as always, I got my two compadres here. We got FF Mike Cash in the building. What's up, Mike?
What is poppin'? I am fired up. We've done a couple of film studies on some guys, and they are balling out at the Senior Bowl. I'm excited.
That's right, man. Senior Bowl is just kicking off, and we have been pumping out these player profiles, and getting to talk about some of these guys today is going to be lots of fun. Evan is also here with us as always. Hey, Evan.
What's up, Corey? I'm trying to get this mustache to be on your level, but you and Mike, both of you, I feel like I'm just a clear third on the podcast here, and I'm just trying to get in the fight.
Oh, it's looking good, man. It's getting there. This takes me like a week or two to build up. So I don't know how long you've been getting yours down, but
what a flex!
This is like a month. This mustache is like a month, bro.
Hey, I know you're struggling with that mustache, but this took me a week.
All I can say is my hair grows very fast. I didn't know that was a flex, but I guess it is. But yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm glad to be here with you guys again. Rough not being with you last week, but I'm excited to get into things with y'all. We obviously have the Senior Bowl, like we mentioned, but we also have had some pretty big NFL news come up with a lot of coaching changes. We can talk a little bit about these playoffs and the Super Bowl that is coming up. But before all that, I do have a cold open question. And I love that I get to ask this to you guys because I don't know how you guys are going to take it at all, but it's pop culture relevant right now, which is something that I'm not really in tune with a lot, but I am now just by happenstance. So I'm going to ask it. It's a simple either or. You have two choices. You have to pick one. No, you're not picking one of these choices nonsense. You got to pick one. Okay.
Okay.
Nicki Minaj or Megan Thee Stallion?
Can I take Ben Shapiro, who's now #1 on the rap charts?
No, that's not one of the choices. I told you that's not one of the choices. You can't pick other.
Nicki Minaj, because just the nostalgia.
Okay. All right.
See,
incorrect choice.
I'm just going to go with Meg Thee Stallion because a stallion sounds like something that you can ride. And I don't know if this is a real person or a mythical animal. So don't know who that is.
Well, you got something to look up after the show if you want, Evan, if you want to listen to some new music that I don't personally, I mean, that's not my genre or anything, but I know of some. Basically, I just wanted to get a little clickbaity because I know there's some drama going on between those two lady rappers, and I don't know what it's all about, but hopefully it'll get some clicks. But anyway, clearly Evan and I are on the right side of history with Mike's totally incorrect Nicki Minaj pick.
Yeah, I'll do some research or something, but
can't name a single song from either artist, but obviously the wrong choice.
Super bass. Nicki Minaj.
Oh yeah, there you go. Yeah. I have heard of that.
You're welcome.
I have not. What is that?
Thanks for the education, Mike.
I was going to sing some, but I don't remember the words.
Well, you sure?
Corey?
You have a little?
No, I don't.
Okay.
And
all right.
moving along.
Well, that has to get us nice and warmed up, right? You guys feeling nice and fresh?
I'm feeling toasty.
You're feeling nice and toasty. Glad to hear it. Okay. Well, let's get into things, guys, because, I'm looking at this list and... Well, by golly, we got some stuff to talk about. So where should we start? Should we talk a little bit about any sort of takeaways from these last couple playoff games? Anything you guys want to chat about from players that you've seen?
I've seen it floating around. Playoffs don't matter for fantasy points. I don't know where people are getting this from, but if there's any kind of dip in Lamar, if there's any kind of dip in Jalen Hurts, if there's any kind of dip in Josh Allen, like their names are going down because people continue to watch Patrick Mahomes. Like, if you can buy the dip, buy the dip.
I was going to disagree with you up until, you just said the thing is it doesn't matter for fantasy unless you can now get discounts on these guys because people are like, oh, well, this guy's not doing so well in these games that don't matter for fantasy, so I don't like them as much. That could be an opportunity to buy low. Already have seen a couple of Lamar Jackson deals go down where I'm sure like they probably went down around the time that that game happened and he didn't look so hot against, a really well-performing defense.
Yeah. Gotta absolutely love overreaction fantasy footballers.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the main aspects of the game for sure. For dynasty football, you have to play on that like public overreaction noise and stuff. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Keep your eye on the ball there. Anything else you guys got?
I have a question to throw over to you, Corey.
Let's go.
This is a player that is going to be in hot contention all over the offseason. Jameson Williams looked like part of the offense for Detroit. Are you like 205? Would you rather have the 205 in this upcoming rookie draft or Jameson Williams?
Personally, I think that I'm taking the 205. If it's a best ball, then I'm a little more interested. But I think that Jameson Williams has basically locked in stone like what he is, and he's a boom bust guy. I don't think he's a guy that you can ever really expect to be consistent. And so best ball, hell yeah, sign me up. I'd probably throw a mid 2 in a best ball league to lock him up if I really needed that flex kind of guy. But yeah, in a regular dynasty league, I'm not super thrilled. I think it's Laporta and I think it's Amon-Ra, and I think that's it for the receiving game that I really want for the Lions. But what do you guys think?
I wholeheartedly agree. I think in a managed league, like he's more important for his real team than he is for fantasy. Like he takes the top off the defense. They have to adjust to the speed that's on the field. But you're never going to know when to start him. Like some weeks he's going to have those huge explosions. He's like Gabe Davis, but the explosions are less likely, which Gabe Davis is already all over the place. So I'd rather have the pick.
Yeah, I think that is a good call. I will just throw it out there. Year 3 breakouts do happen sometimes. It's possible that he lives up to that
receiving yards yet.
Yeah. Season ended or season started late because of the suspension. So there's that too. There's a little bit of devil's advocacy you can have here with him, but like I am personally like going back to what I said. I'm just not sold, and I wouldn't be in a race to send anything significant to go get him.
No.
Okay. Well, do we want to? Super Bowl preview, that makes me depressed. I expect it makes a lot of people depressed to think about the two teams in the Super Bowl. Look, man, we all do a football podcast. We all love football, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to like really watch the Super Bowl this year. I don't know. Like, I guess if there's nothing else on, nothing else happening, I'll catch Usher, but I don't know. If it's a nice day outside, I might go outside. I might go outside.
Corey, you're gonna watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I probably will, but I don't want to. I don't want to at all.
It's the last game of football that we're gonna have for many, many months.
What's my best case scenario watching the Super Bowl, guys?
The game's gonna rock, and then Brock Purdy leads a comeback victory over Patrick Mahomes.
Okay, great. So I get to watch the 49ers win.
No. Corey, look. Your best case scenario as a Seahawks fan is for every 49ers offensive player to tear their ACL in the game.
You don't want that.
And then Patrick Mahomes to still lose.
No. We do not. Okay. We do not.
I have a lot of Christian McCaffrey on my teams. I cannot.
No, Mike, look, this is purely analytical, purely just saying best case scenario for Corey.
Oh, no.
I'm not saying that I want this to happen.
That is not my best case scenario.
Next segment.
My best case scenario, actually, I'll give you this. My best case scenario is that they tie over and over and over and over again, and it's the game that never ends.
They just play indefinitely. You catch it on Monday.
The game just keeps going. And
they start calling Kansas City residents like, hey, can you suit up? We need you.
Men sleep on the field. Man,
All right,
eat your
wait.
breakfast on the field, get right back to it. Right. in the morning.
Before it goes, what color is the Gatorade going to be?
Blue.
I mean red, right?
I'm going with orange. All
It
right.
hasn't been blue in a while.
It hasn't been blue in a while.
That
I'm going to go with orange.
Yeah, that's true. Orange, okay. I think that's strong too. Orange still has some like relevant primary color involvement there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I'm sticking with red. I feel good about red because it's like, either team, right? But yeah,
Okay.
orange makes sense. You laying a bet on that? Fat bet, 10K?
No.
There is a player prop, or not even a player prop, a random game prop. Will there be an octopus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and what's crazy is if you bet that last year, you won it. You know what an octopus is, right? It's when a quarterback runs it in for a touchdown and then also gets the 2-point conversion.
I did not know that that's what that meant.
That is what
I'm
it
going to
is.
be completely honest.
Yeah, 8 points.
I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a stupid side prop. This
No.
shows. I don't.
Well, I mean, it
sports
is.
betting is illegal where I am.
Like, it is a stupid side prop, though. Like, I don't know what the odds are, but they're probably not.
I thought
good
there was it was like left shark or.
Did you think it was like the hockey thing where they throw an octopus onto the ice?
Yes. I was like, why is this a bet?
Okay, and with that going,
follow me for more in-depth
we're going to take our 8-legged friends and continue to move on to all of these coaching changes, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're more like a squid because we have 6 legs.
Would you rather have an octopus or Arthur Smith as your offensive coordinator?
Mike? Question.
Hey, look, octopi are very smart creatures.
That's true.
Is Arthur Smith?
So I will take the octopi.
Octopi also know how to they can condense their bodies. They know how to work in space.
Just wiggle in between those tight holes.
Yeah. I don't know about that phrasing.
Corey,
I want to move on now.
I told you I'm so tired. This is just stop. You can't do this.
But anyway, Arthur Smith, real quick. First of all, I am very sad. Second of all, he was not responsible, but he was the OC for Derrick Henry's 2,000-yard season and some of A.J. Brown's biggest seasons. And a tight end was super valuable when he was the tight ends coach. Like, he has a history of being a good coordinator when you focus him purely on that. You say, this is your lane. Boop. I'm worried.
I don't mean to offend by any means, but in my mind's eye, Arthur Smith just looks like a Steelers coach.
No,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what is with that, but he just when he, when the news came out, I was like, I can picture that. That does add up.
I might buy low because everyone's going to try to throw away Steelers pieces because they feel gross about it.
Yeah, that could be some buy low news for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
I mean, you could already get Deontay for a second. So.
You know what's scary though about the buy low situation is who's the quarterback?
It's fine. Artie Smith
Justin Fields.
He's had bad quarterbacks his entire time. It's fine.
I missed that news. I missed that Justin Fields is on the Steelers now.
All right, and moving on to the fact that my Eagles now have 2 new coordinators.
Oh yeah, you've won. You win. Shut up.
Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio. I will gladly take Vic Fangio. Kellen Moore, honestly, I could care less. But just getting a new potential play caller in there, somebody who's been in the division before already. Vic Fangio was with the Eagles a couple years ago. So really good to have him back. I think he was a special assistant, special defensive assistant before. So really good to see him back in Philly. Give Sirianni another crack at it, another chance here, and hopefully the team won't fall apart after the first 11 games.
Well, it makes sense with Kellen Moore leaving because Staley left, I guess. But it is kind of it's wild that he's gone after one season, just with how vaunted he was when he first got onto the Chargers. So I think that was a big win. I think you could be very happy about that, like you said, grabbing him for the Eagles. Meanwhile, I have no news to share as a Seahawks fan because I don't know.
Any predictions?
I would be super happy with Mike McDonald. That's fine. I have no problems with that, but I also think that there's a less likely chance of that, given that the Commanders are the only other team looking, and they have a pick where he can take his favorite QB. Well, second favorite QB probably, but yeah, I think that makes it rough. I still think the Hawks are like a good spot, but I think that the Commanders are probably better for that reason, for that high first rounder. So I just don't feel very positive that we'll get him. Other than that, though, like, I don't know, dude. Like, it could. I don't think it'll be Bill Belichick. Like, that seems wild. No. That's not going to happen. Mike Vrabel, maybe. It's wild that there's been no noise about Vrabel anywhere.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a thing. I wouldn't hate that either, I guess. But I would love a fresh, new, exciting head coach to take the Hawks into the next thing that we're going to do, rather than if it's Dan Quinn, I'll lose my mind. If it's Dan Quinn, I will literally, I don't know what I'll do, but I'll be very upset if it's Dan Quinn.
That's fair.
And other than that, yeah, I really just have no idea what they're going to do. So we shall see. Stand by for that. But yeah, should we go through like a couple other of these, like of the bigger ones, I guess, at least? I mean, I'll talk from the Hawks fan perspective. Shane Waldron goes to the Bears. I don't I don't hate to see him go by any means, but I think he's like competent enough. So we will see how that goes. Hi, Jerry. Everyone wave hi to Jerry. We'll see how that one goes. Let's see. Ken Dorsey is now with the Browns. So the Browns need to make sure that they get their iPads into very safe and secure cases, or they will feel his wrath. I don't know. Any other of these like coach changes we want to really dive into? Everything else seems kind of meh.
Yeah, I mean, defensive coordinators. I mean, I don't know what you were going to say, Evan, but none of this really excites me.
Well, I was just going to say Carolina continues with yes men. It 100% feels like a yes man situation, which once again makes me feel absolutely putrid about any Carolina Panther, which very well could make them a buy this offseason if you can get them super cheap because nobody wants them.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I mean, Chuba Hubbard, but like who else? Like who else are you buying? Like DJ Chark for a fourth? I don't know.
I mean, you can still get Thielen super cheap. So
yeah, I guess if Thielen's playing again, what is he going into his year 33 season?
I think he's 90. Let me check.
Oh, I was way off.
Oh, 83. 83.
Oh, okay. Not that bad. Yeah.
He finished World War II and then came here.
Okay, yeah, he has a couple more seasons left.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Well, then, with lack of other news or things to talk about for the main football talk, let's get into this segment that we are super prepared for. And
we're fired up.
It's gonna go great. We're gonna talk about these this day one of the Senior Bowl. Some standouts, some buzz players that we have spotted, seen a little tape on, some guys that specifically you might have seen some videos pop up for on our YouTube channel, produced and created by our very own FF Mike Cash. So we can deep dive a little bit on those guys as well as some other guys that are making some noise. Let's get into it. Yeah, you got a name for us to start with here, Mike?
First and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, if you follow along with the show, if you've seen the little previews, I did this with Rhett from Fantasy and Frame. Shout out Rhett if you're listening. Ladd McConkey. All over his film, he has a leap burst in the first 10 yards. He manipulates defenders at every level of the route, and he separates. At bottom line, if a receiver's job is to separate and catch the ball, Ladd McConkey is a good receiver. And he has been dominating the Senior Bowl so far. Of all of his clips today, he has only lost one rep in all of his one-on-one drills. I scoured for Ladd McConkey videos, so I'm fired up about it. Evan, how do you feel about Ladd McConkey? And more importantly, how does this adjust our rookie drafts in a couple of months? Or if you're a degenerate like us and you draft beforehand?
Yeah, obviously, whenever a player is being talked about a significant amount in the media, they tend to go up because everybody's hearing the name and they get on the clock and you're seeing the name and you immediately just start thinking, okay, this is a name that I've heard be hyped up. This is a name that has some steam behind it. Let me try and get ahead of the curve. Let me try and take him a little bit earlier. But Ladd is exactly kind of what I thought. He's a route runner. Production wise, wasn't the uber producer at Georgia that you really want, but also at the same time, you throw in the fact that they had Brock Bowers and the entire offense ran through Brock Bowers and that running game. Yes.
Do
Mike?
you want to talk about yards per route run? Number 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. Number 2, Malik Neighbors. Number 3, Ladd McConkey. Yards per route run king. I'm fired up.
Sounds
McConkey
great.
the donkey.
Stay on the field. Stay on the field. Be the number one option in your college offense, and then I'm going to feel a lot more about it, a lot better about it. Yeah, I know it is overrated because we saw exactly what Xavier Legette is doing as the very clear number one option from his team. So
yeah, you just want to jump right into Legette?
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah, good segue.
All right, so Xavier Legette, another one that we did film on. Listen, he super produced as a 5th year, like super senior when he's playing with a bunch of 18-year-olds, and he was the number one option in the offense. He combined for about 6 yards up until his senior year or super senior year. If I did the math right. It was obviously more, but basically he was a blip on the radar, and then all of a sudden this last year he went off and was clearly Spencer Rattler's number one option. On his film, he struggled to separate. He needed design touches, and he had just like a weird thing with you could tell when the play was designed for him and whether or not he cared. And now he's at the Senior Bowl. And I wrote down, so Thor Nystrom, who crushes rookie profiles, his winners were a bunch of guys that we're going to talk about later. One of his losers, number one receiver, Xavier Legette. So red flag.
I mean, looking at his measurables too. I mean, you have like a prototypical like freak guy at 6'3" and like 225 and running like a 4.3 40.
But he came in undersized on the actual measurables.
Yep. He was listed at 6'3", 230. He measured at 6'1", 220.
Oh, okay.
And
but to be fair, everybody that was there said that his upper body was very defined. He does look like he has a strong upper body to be able to break arm tackles on, that side up there. But at the same time, in the past, I've shied away from receivers that have broken out in their 4th or 5th year in college. And I think I'm just going to continue with that trend personally here.
He won the get off the bus drill, and he struggled the rest of the week. So I'm not on the Legette train. And I also, if he runs a 4.3, I will do a shot live on the show. Like I 0% that he is not running a 4.3. He's running a 4.4 something.
It's yeah. I think he's in the mid to high 4.4s.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a lot slower than people were expecting.
And he's going to plummet down draft boards, which unfortunate. I hope it works out for him, but he's on my do not draft list at this time of the year.
So maybe a little bit of a trap guy, given just literally the first thing I pulled up about him does have the incorrect measurables, and that's why I thought that. So something to pay attention to.
Yep.
Corey, it's on the show sheet. I busted my butt to get that ready for you. Come on, you're killing me, bro.
You know what? I didn't scroll. I scrolled down too far. I thought Ladd was the first name.
Cool. Great.
No, he's there. You're right.
Right. One more receiver, or do you guys want to talk about quarterbacks real quick?
No. Let's talk about the guy who somehow seemed to be basically uncoverable in Roman Wilson.
Ooh.
Yeah. Let's talk some Roman Wilson.
We've seen a lot of Roman Wilson coming up through the playoffs. We've seen a lot of him at Michigan in the about 10 dropbacks, that J.J. McCarthy gets to take per game, and the 70 bajillion runs that they do every single game. For whatever reason, he just wasn't able to be covered today in practice. That's what all the reports are saying. So I just really interested to see how that continues to go. Obviously, Michigan is a blue blood program. He was first on his team in receptions, although if I remember correctly, the tolerance was pretty tight on total receptions for that Michigan offense between 1 and 2. You look at him, and he's in his 4th season. So sure, but he's also done things in his 2nd and 3rd seasons, which is beneficial. He's not just putting up absolute duds like we saw out of Xavier Legette. He's topping 300, 400 yards, which may not seem like a lot, but on that Michigan offense, that's actually a sizable chunk and probably would have put him 2nd, 3rd in receiving yards those years.
Yep.
That's a nice call out by Mike Zimmelman. Wilson
Yep.
to the Chargers in the 4th. That sounds very right.
Yeah, they need speed, and Roman Wilson is clearly putting on the speed at the Senior Bowl.
The separation was for real. I just caught
Yep.
some of his highlights too. Like there were guys like 10, 15 yards behind him while he ran into the end zone.
They looked lost. They need a whole map to figure out where Wilson went to.
Besides the separation too, I saw one pass he grabbed from Penix where it was like an out route and he was like in double coverage and he just snags the ball. He's like, no, I'm just gonna catch it actually. I thought that was pretty impressive too. So some nice highlights coming out for him. And interesting to see that he is balling out now that he's not being, would you say, held back by JJ McCarthy?
Held back by a Michigan offensive scheme. We'll go with that.
Yeah, that's polite. That's very polite of you.
That's very kind. Very nice of you.
The diplomat.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Okay. Well, great. Well, yeah. I mean, besides the Chargers, did you guys have any spots that you want to see Roman go?
I think that he just brings a different element to the Chiefs offense, which would be really nice. And obviously, we want all of the receivers to go to the Chiefs. I think that basically there's, of the 32 teams in the NFL, he could be the 3 on most of them and probably the 2 on 10 to 15. Carolina needs bodies.
Oh man,
they just need
bad way.
They just need human beings. They don't even need all of that much. So Carolina would be nice.
Arizona would be nice too.
Well, Arizona, they already have Wilson, who's going to slot in as the 2.
But
Harrison Jr.
I'm just saying,
first.
Well, if they trade back out of that and they end up not getting Marv, end up being able to get a little bit more capital. You look at what they did last year, being able to trade with Houston. Maybe they trade back again, be able to do something similar, be able to roster build a little bit more.
Yeah,
I don't think the Cardinals can get him because they're not going to have 2 Wilsons. Like that's just going to get confusing.
Then they would just need to sign Russ, and then they could be the Wilson triplets, Yeah,
and then go trade for Garrett, and they'll just have all.
Right. We're getting out of the sorts here.
Yeah.
Oh, very important question.
Oh, wild cherry Pepsi.
I have not received my Pepsi yet, so be sure to remind Chuck that he owes me my Pepsi.
Come on, Chuck.
God.
Get that thing in the mail.
We love Chuck Bass.
Be very careful when you open that package.
Yeah.
Seriously, though.
I'm a little nervous. But no, I think Roman Wilson's going to be – do you guys think he can sneak into day 2?
He might be a tweener pick right there. Very end of day 2, very beginning of day 3.
I think especially if he continues the trajectory that he is already paving for himself in the Senior Bowl, continues to show out. We've seen Senior Bowl guys go ham during the Senior Bowl and then end up being very good despite draft capital, despite hype, preseason hype. I'm looking at you, Puka Nacua. So
Tank
I think it's Tank Dell. I think it's very important to keep an eye on that for sure to see how he progresses the rest of the week. The week?
Yeah.
How many days is it? 3
week.
4?
Game's on Saturday?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure. Okay. Saturday. Got it. Okay. Well, great. Who's next?
Oh, he's
Johnny Wilson.
Wilson.
Well, I got to give you your minute on Johnny Wilson. You've been talking about him since October, I want to say. Maybe.
I think it was September, but
September sounds right, actually. Yeah.
First and foremost, Johnny Wilson, he was struggling a little bit on the outside from what we've heard from camp and what we're seeing in the film. He has, from what I've seen, figured out how to use his frame to kind of box out defenders on those in-breaking and those curl routes. It's when he's going to the outside or when he really needs to separate that he's struggling with. Look, he's 6'6", 237. Like, when he's not open, he's still open. Like, there are times that you will see him, and we've seen it at the Senior Bowl already. There's a corner that is actively on his back like he is his little brother. And Johnny Wilson reached out, snagged it, kept his feet in bounds. Defenders have to they have to hold him or he's going to go deep because he has deceptive long speed. He's not going to test really well at the combine. Like that 40 is probably going to be pretty ugly because he's that big. It takes him a little bit to move, but he has solid acceleration off the line, takes him a little bit in the mid range, and then he crushes it once he gets that full stride open. So I think he's going to be a top 90-ish pick.
I mean, he should have a halfway decent RAS score when all things come about, just because of his size, honestly. His size is going to make it so much easier for him to be able to have a higher RAS score.
Of receivers since 2011, he has the 99th percentile height, 99th percentile weight, 98th percentile weight, 99th percentile hand, 99th percentile everything. So everything.
All right.
So look, I think that he's going to crush it if he is used in a system with a creative OC. If he comes to Pittsburgh with Arthur Smith, I'm going to bury my head in my hands and cry. But
okay, that's fair. Well, what do you see him as? Fantasy drafts wise, is he like locked in right now as your like tight end 2?
If he is tight end eligible, he is firmly my tight end 2. I love Jatavion Sanders. I'm a Texas fan, and I do think that he has like a Chigokonkwo plus role. But it's just Johnny Wilson's a freak in a great way. And I think that if they move him to tight end for fantasy purposes, it rocks. But if you're Johnny Wilson, like tight end contracts are 1/10 the size of receiver contracts. So he should make himself a receiver for contract talks.
Yeah, but once again, we're going to see very shortly here tight ends that get used basically as big wide receivers inside, offline. We're going to start to see that debate heat back up again. I have absolutely zero doubt that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Woo sports indeed.
Woo sports.
Thanks for checking in, Olivia. Question just quickly. I mean, you said his measurables 6'6", right?
Yep.
Like wide receiver wise, like when
he would be the tallest receiver in the NFL.
I was gonna ask, like, when was the last time we saw like a 6'5" guy even?
Well, so I mean, Kelvin Benjamin coming out of Florida State as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the plus size, I think he is taller than Kelvin Benjamin. If my research ahead of time was right, he is the tallest receiver since Harold Carmichael. So
it's so crazy.
Do with that information what you will.
Okay.
He's the kind of guy that you're gonna be playing Madden and you need to not pick the team that has Johnny Wilson because you can just press jump and he is just he has the wingspan of a young pterodactyl. That's real. Like that.
That's so wild. Okay. I almost feel like, man, this is tough because, it'll depend on draft capital where he goes, obviously, but I'm almost getting a preview of like just his like freaky athleticism. It might make it more difficult to draft him because you might have to take him a little early. Like, I feel like people are going to be enamored with that physicality.
Yeah. I really hope that the hype train, so I'm like the conductor of the hype train right now. I hope it dies down a little bit because I want to draft him later.
You're like whispering choo-choo. Like, choo.
Yeah. In the 210 to 302 range, I don't think there's going to be a lot of better targets than Johnny Wilson if he gets that day 2 capital. If he doesn't get it, then like we need to talk about our concerns there. I mean, you're going to
have tons of running backs in that range that go in round 3, round 4.
Yeah, but I think an NFL team's going to fall in love with him, and like if he goes day 2 to a team with an opening.
This is an elite take,
Mike.
This is an elite take by Mike Zimmelman.
Thank you, Mr. Zimmelman.
Bryce Young just chucking down the field to Johnny Wilson. That would be so good.
Johnny Wilson might be the best separator on the Panthers. And Johnny Wilson doesn't separate.
The unfortunate realization.
No, he is awesome on in-breaking routes, and he is awesome on deep routes. It's just anytime that he needs to have any wiggle in his step that just he's not sudden because he's Gronk sized.
Gigantic, yeah. Okay.
But, yeah.
All right, and nobody be comparing Jacob Cowan to Tank Dell. Just don't do it, period. I'm just going to squash that right now. We got the thin frame, the small build. Came in at what is it, 5'8" and half,
5'8" and a half,
an inch,
165.
yeah, 165. Like it's too identical, and he's not as sudden. He's not as much of a problem for the corners.
Yep.
He's fine.
Imagine,
don't get me wrong. I'm not slapping him down. I'm just saying. I feel like people are going to make the Tank Dell comps because of the size and because that is how he wins. He wins in suddenness. He wins on being able to be quicker than everybody around him.
But he's not quicker than the Senior Bowl corners.
But he's not.
Which means he's not quicker than NFL corners, which means if he doesn't have a role as a receiver and he doesn't have the size to be useful in special teams, he's going to struggle to make a roster. Like, this is a real quick aside to fantasy football. Like, if he can't win in that way, like, he's not even worth a taxi squad spot because he's not going to stick around.
Yep.
So.
It almost feels like less of a Tank Dell potential and more of like a poverty Rondale Moore.
But
Rondale he had those thick thighs. Like, yeah. Yep.
We both went the same way.
Yep.
Bully on me for not remembering about his thick thighs. Thank you guys for the reminder.
Oh, man. Mike, remind me, running back, wide receiver, listed as an offensive weapon, went to Oregon. Oh, man. I'm blanking. He was on the Chiefs. That's who I was thinking. He's super small. But
I don't remember. I'll look it up. You guys keep talking about important things like Jacob Cowing and why he stinks.
But yeah, so then people are going to look at Cowing in my opinion, and they're going to see production. They're going to see what he did on that Arizona offense with Tet being there, who Tet is fantastic. Really looking forward to him coming out next year. So that is definitely something to look forward to in next year's class. Whenever you're watching Cowing, in my opinion, Tet and his receiver profile just jumps off the page. So definitely looking forward to that. Going through some other wide receivers, is there really any that kind of excites you, Corey? Can I interest you in some Brennan Rice, Ricky Pearsall, Malachi Corley, who everybody was hyping up going into it and apparently had one of the biggest upper bodies of any wide receiver there.
Well, I mean, I like that. I want to talk a little bit about Tez Walker, but you want to do Brennan Rice first?
I mean, Brennan
Rice already up there. Mike
sure.
has the card up. Why not?
Brennan Rice doesn't deserve to be Jerry Rice's son.
Ooh, with a dagger.
What?
He is
Evan
digging. He is digging
then,
on that Rice name right there. Sorry, he's
that
not
was
that good.
so mean.
He's not that good.
Okay,
he's like, he should be like a cousin, not a son.
Brother, too far.
I mean, that's a strong take. That is a strong take. Calling for the emancipation of Jerry Rice's son. Evan calls him like he's some dude. That's
tune in next week, folks.
When I get canceled.
But anyway, so Brennan Rice, it depends on what report you're seeing. So a lot of guys are saying that he is winning through contact. When I hear winning through contact, I think can't separate.
Mm-hmm.
He's been struggling a little bit with, dealing with corners at the Senior Bowl. And if you're struggling to deal with corners in a situation where you have every advantage, you have the whole field, you have all the space, it's tough.
He's just never seemed like especially fast either. Like, yeah. I mean, you can be that size, but I mean, if you don't have the speed to back it up, like, what are you going to do in the NFL?
He's a jag. He's just a guy.
Yep.
He profiles definitely like a jag.
He will be a wide receiver 4 on a team, and he will stick around because
because name cachet. That's the only reason he's going to stick around.
I was going to say because he blocks and hustles, but
No, name cachet. That's it.
But yeah, I mean, we're all on the same page. Some of us are just nicer than others.
Well, Evan is just trying his best to get us the clicks, man. That'll go viral.
I'm gonna clip that and make it.
You got to clip that. You have to clip. You don't have a choice. You got to clip that.
Evan Lowe, Brendan Rice needs to go to an orphanage.
Okay, now let's not be doing that.
But anyway,
the title should be Evan Lowe calls for the immediate orphanage.
All right. So Corey,
let's talk about quarterbacks.
Whoa, Corey wanted to talk about Tez Walker here.
Yeah, I'd like to talk a little bit about Tez Walker. He's there. I want to know what you guys have seen or heard because he profiles great. What do you guys think?
Was excited, and there's been a little bit of water thrown on the flame. And now it's just kind of sizzling. And it's like, okay, I mean, he's fine.
May I offer he is fast and prototypical size.
That seems right.
That's the end of the nice things I can say.
Sure.
He's struggling through press right now. He even on tape, it seemed like he lacks the suddenness in order to actually manipulate defenders as he's running his routes. Just not my cup of tea. He's going to be more important for an NFL offense than he is for our fantasy teams because he's like Jameson Williams, but without the extreme speed. So now you're talking about he might not even hit for best ball teams. He's all cardio team 2023 or 2024. New year, new me.
He's gonna get those yards of ran routes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yards. Okay. It's yards per route run, but it's literally just the yards that he's running.
Right. Yeah.
Does that include laps that he takes around the field?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to throw his name out because I know he was one of the guys there that had pre-hype. So wanted to touch base there. But yeah, let's move on to
not for me.
Okay. What QBs are for you, Mike?
Right now, none of them.
Very meh. Very meh.
Ready? Joe Milton, all the tools in the world, even in shorts right now, is just it's all over the place. His mechanics are weird. He throws the ball like he's trying to send it through the guy's skull sometimes. He just and sometimes it's not even close. He's throwing it to the coaches, and it's brother, what are you doing?
He heard cannon arm and he took it literally and converted his arm into a mechanical cannon.
Yes, he's just locked and loaded.
Yeah.
Then we have Bo Nix, who he doesn't win on arm talent, so he's not gonna shine in an event like this. He's not gonna make any wow throws. He's gonna just make the right decision every single time, which is what he brings to an NFL team.
Do you think at this point, Bo Nix gets drafted as a backup QB? Is that pretty locked in stone, you think?
I think he gets drafted as a team starter for a team that's desperate.
He's gonna be a Teddy Bridgewater.
Okay.
He's gonna be a guy that can make the throws, can think through the throws, is gonna be limited by his arm, has more mobility than Teddy. Yeah, I'll definitely say that.
Then young Teddy? Young Teddy was trucking dudes in college.
Young Teddy was fun to watch. I'll give you that. All right. But this quarterback class was supposed to be so much more enjoyable and was so much more hyped than last year. I mean, last year's Senior Bowl quarterback class was brutal. Gross. Absolutely brutal. Yep. So expectations were high. So unless these guys meet expectations, they're coming out of Senior Bowl week as a net negative, which I will say for quarterbacks, trying to throw to brand new wide receivers and trying to make throws to players that you haven't thrown to before and don't understand their movements, it's a lot harder than it may sound. So let's not try and read too much into day one of the quarterback play. Let's give them a little bit of time to be able to acclimate, and let's really try and look at the game, assuming they stay for the game. They may dip out, may not play in the game. Always a risk to be had.
Nice Trace McSorley call out. Big Ordy 66. Appreciate that. Well,
Michael
I-
Penix.
Penn
Yeah.
State.
Well, I
Michael
wanted to
Penix.
leapfrog onto Penix anyway, so glad you brought him up. But I
Yeah.
almost feel like from what I'm seeing, it's kind of what we're seeing based on what Evan is saying, where like the reads seem off, and I think you can kind of chalk that up to he is throwing to guys he hasn't thrown to before. His arm talent though is being showcased. Like he is making good throws, and it felt like most of the wide receiver highlights that I've watched has Penix behind the ball, like making those throws. So that's interesting to see. You know, as a Huskies fan, I like to see that. I don't really know what to make of Penix in terms of like, can he actually be like a really, really, good starting QB for an NFL team? I don't know. I'm almost leaning towards probably not. But I think if a team takes him a little later and he gets a chance, then still it's possible. But I kind of see him as like a slightly healthier Hendon Hooker.
I have decided, and slightly healthier is weird for Penix. That's not
exactly. Yeah.
I've decided to basically completely defer to draft capital on quarterbacks 4 through 7. Because between Nix, Penix, McCarthy, and this next name has been climbing draft boards, and from people I really respect, thrown out, Spencer Rattler. Like, they have said that the fantasy football community and like draft community is way lower on him than NFL teams are. I watched a lot of USC when I was looking at Leggett, and like I didn't see it, but if an NFL team sees it and they take him top 50, like we have to listen to that. So I'm gonna sit and wait and let that dictate, because they all have glaring issues to me, but there are teams that do this for their entire job that are smarter than I am.
Side note, I know that this is a fantasy football podcast, but apparently the Orioles just got sold.
Huh.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. $1.7 billion today. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
Congratulations to the city of Baltimore for
real
having baseball teams. I know sports.
Okay. And back to football and Senior Bowl talk.
Yeah. The quarterbacks, they're all over the place. There's not a real shiner right now. The big shiner is actually the guy I just gave a shout out to. Like Spencer Rattler has apparently been interviewing really well, showed a level of maturity, has been meshing well with his teammates, which if you watched the Elite 11 docuseries, wasn't exactly known for being likable, but he was a kid, and now he's grown up a little bit. So
he's had what a roller coaster ride for him, from just like the outsiders, like from my perspective as like kind of an outsider, only really starting to pay attention to college football like a lot this year, and just hearing his name, like going back a couple years now, and it being like, oh my God, he's really good. And then it's like, oh, we don't know actually, like if he's good, we don't know what he is. And then it's like, oh no, actually might be okay. And then it's like, oh, actually he's good.
We just need to settle somewhere on middle ground. Like he wasn't God's gift to football, but he also wasn't the guy that we all hated. He's just somewhere in the middle. But you guys want to talk about some quarterback or running backs? Wow, I'm crushing it today.
We could talk about some quarterbacks. Yeah, Mike, why don't we run it back?
Let's talk about running backs. All right.
Do you see what I did there? Run it back?
Yeah, with quarterbacks.
I had you.
Rasheen Ali, Marshall running back. 4 touchdowns against Virginia Tech, which shout out to the Hokies fans out there. It was terrible. Horrible to watch. We couldn't stop him. Nobody could stop him. And he has not just like solid burst, like elite burst. That it's rumored that he's going to test really well. He came in a little over 200 pounds, so he has hit that threshold that people like to hold against running backs that Jahmyr Gibbs showed doesn't matter. 28 receptions in college, which Corey, we were talking about a little bit before this. Like, has the pass catching chops, has the size, could put on a little bit more weight, and is going to test well. So that's kind of the trifecta, especially in a weak running back class that we're looking for. So he's been an early winner.
Yeah.
Evan, vibes on Rasheen Ali.
Yeah, I mean, he's a production monster.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's doing it for Marshall, so take that with a grain of salt. Definitely needs to be understood. So, yeah, I mean, you're looking at him. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry in college, which is really impressive. You're seeing him basically be main part of that offense. And the offense kind of ran through him at Marshall, which was pretty impressive. Whenever they needed a big play, they were going to their star running back. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's got a shot to be something. Will he be a starter? Probably not, but he'll be that backup, that can step in and be able to get you carries and get you points and be able to hold down that backup role if the starter goes down.
Well, look, man, in the rookie running back landscape that we are currently experiencing, I think
we'll take a backup.
You got to take the shots where you can find them, man. At least he has, like Mike said, he has elite burst. He has decent size. I would even say like slightly more than decent, like good size.
Checks the box.
Checks the box for, he can catch passes that over 25 is usually what I like to see. He's got 28, looks pretty good. And yeah, I think it all goes back to like in a sea of just running backs here, they just like throw a dart basically. Like, I don't think he's a bad dart to throw necessarily.
He is Izzy Abanikanda with a little extra vision. And honestly, if he goes somewhere other than the Jets where Izzy got just buried, like, I think he's worth a shot in the third and fourth round of your rookie drafts. On the flip side. I
was going to say third and fourth round for me is all about just taking a shot at guys that I think can be backup running backs.
Running backs on a roster.
Running backs on any running back on a 53. Like, just give me that shot of a guy that's going to be the 2. And if he's the 3, all right, I'll ship him off. I'll drop him, whatever. But I want those guys that are going to be 2s, going to be able to get in there, win the battles in camp. I'll take some calculated risks. Speaking
of guys that are going to win the battle in camp, Cody Schrader is going to get meaningful snaps to the NFL.
Yep.
All-American from Mizzou. He's an older prospect because he had to go from being a walk-on to a small school to a big school to finally getting a shot. He has showcased his vision and his ability to set up his blockers, which is something that we have seen every single game that he has played. Look, he is not going to be your like consummate RB1. But what he can be is a very serviceable handcuff and maybe the 1B or the between the 20s rusher at the next level.
Look, I think it's really unlikely that we see many running backs drafted in this class that are going to go on a team and be the running back 1. Like, just off the bat, I just don't think we're going to see many, if at all. But looking at his profile, I think Schrader has a lot of that game of like being a workhorse guy if he needed to be. Like, I think that's kind of like what his deal is. So like I said, I don't think he's going to like just get drafted and be that guy. I don't think you're going to have many of those in this draft class, to be honest. But I think he stands a better chance than a lot of these other guys do at least like solidifying that number 2 spot in a spot where he could earn some snaps, could take over if the lead guy gets injured, that kind of thing. I think he has all the tools that you're looking for. Again, over 20 receptions. In this day and age, man, give me a running back in the 3rd or 4th. Let's go.
Yep. The hit rate for receivers on day 3, now that Puka Nacua has hit, it's going to, fluctuate. But before Puka Nacua, it was Hunter Renfrow and Darnell Mooney. And that was it for like the last 10 years. Now, Stephon Diggs, but that was a while ago. Like, it's few and far between. When you look at running backs taken on day 3, there's a couple of them because they get the opportunity, because they get the workload, and because they fill in. So it's better to take swings on running backs late in your rookie drafts, and especially in a quarterback and wide receiver loaded draft. Swing early on quarterbacks and receivers, swing late on running backs, pray that they get a chance. Any other takeaways from the Senior Bowl? Wow. Okay, cool. Good thoughts.
No, I look, I think we hit the guys that I had gotten, buzz about and looked at highlights for. I'll admit, like, I've just been too busy to really dive in hard on, all of these guys, but I think we hit the main dudes. So I feel pretty good about it.
I'll run through it one more time. So
give us just like the full list of guys.
Thor does his winners and losers. So Cody Schrader, Dylan Lobb, Marshawn Lloyd. Those are all your running backs that were winners. Ryan Lernay. Evan, help me out here.
Well, I don't even know who you're talking about.
I don't know either. That might be a typo. Ladd McConkey, Roman Wilson, Ricky Pearsall, and then Theo Johnson is the tight end winner. And the losers are Bo Nix, Joe Milton, Amani Bailey, Xavier Legette, Jacob Cowing, and Aeneas Smith. Sorry to Fantasy Nerd Boy if you're listening. I know that's your boy, but not doing great right now. Running through the two guys that we talked about, got Ladd McConkey, Separation King, Johnny Wilson, Big Boy, inside threat, outside. We'll talk about it. Quarterbacks are gross right now. If you're going to take a swing on one, it looks like it's either Penix or Nix. So Rattlers climbing draft boards. Roman Wilson, separating, amazing, beautiful. Rasheen Ali and Cody Schrader are crushing it. Brendan Rice struggling to separate, and Evan thinks should be an orphan. Xavier Legette, absolutely a liability. Jacob Cowing struggling, and Tez Walker, big, fast, not good at receiver. I think that about covers it. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Nope. But outside of this, Mike Zolman and just double checked Thomas Brown coming over from the Panthers.
yeah.
I actually think that that's really big. NFL Players Association had him as one of the highest rated offensive coaches, offensive coordinators that players loved. He had one of the highest approval ratings from players. And I get it. Panthers, bad team. But what did I say about that coaching staff at the beginning of the year?
Yeah.
Absolutely loved the coaching staff as individuals.
Yeah.
The way that they set up, it wasn't the right team, wasn't the right setup, but absolutely love it. Whatever. Wasn't the right quarterback. Yep. Okay. But absolutely love this hire for the Bears. Whoever they end up bringing in, they're trying to surround them with coaches that they want to play for, offensive guys want to come play for, guys that they can learn from, have been very established coaches at the NFL level. So I'm a huge fan, whether it's Caleb or whether it stays Justin Fields.
Do you have any sort of strong prediction on that?
I mean, Mike and I already made the bet, know.
Fields,
Fields being the week one starter, which, I'm feeling worse and worse by the day about that. It's not looking great there. So the only hope at this point is Fields goes and gets traded to a team that actually wants him. Let's try and revitalize that career.
We'll take him in Seattle.
Pittsburgh.
We can fight about that too, Mike.
I'm down.
Okay. Well, great. I mean, kind of a little bit shy here, but we went a pretty good long episode. And you know what, guys? I'm tired, so I think we'll call it early so that I can go ahead and refill my energy reserves with some Dubby. Before I get to my next thing, probably do a little bit of a workout, get some editing done, and Dubby's going to fuel all of that. So if you want to go get some Dubby, the Journalist Energy Drink, you can go ahead and follow the link that'll be below in the episode description, or just w.gg, enter code FFRPG. You get a nice little discount. It's good.
Oh, P.S. If you're still listening, subscribe. We're trying to hit 300 subscribers by the Super Bowl. We're at 269, which is pretty cool. So we're just
nice.
Thanks for clicking. Means a little bit for you. Means a lot to us.
Yeah, thank you, anyone who has already subscribed. And if you listen to this whole show and you liked it and you subscribe, then I love you. I'll just say it. I love you.
It's a little early, but we love you, listeners.
We do. We love you. Okay. Well, until next time, thank you once again for joining us. And goodbye.
Bye.